The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College.
This is Duck Insider.
Give it to Verdell. He's got the first down and go! Duck fans start celebrating. Oregon is the 2019 Pac-12 champion. The 2020 Rose Bowl champion.
Richardson, another open three. Good! Duarte dribbles and slams with the right hand. For the third time in the last 5 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions. Outright champions.
Foley three. Good! Foley ball. Down Shelley. Three ball. Good! Regular season champions and now Pac-12 tournament champions.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you, and happy Thursday. We're actually back to Athletic Director Thursday. Finally. It's been a little while since we've actually done an Athletic Director Thursday. We've done now every day but Monday in the history of this segment where we've had an athletic director on and it's been regular. We said we were going to move back to Tuesdays this year, but it just hasn't worked out. Thursday has been a good day for it. We're going to talk with Lisa Peterson, Deputy Athletic Director, coming up in just a moment. She's with us for Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks, drink Pepsi. Some news of the day. The Pac-12 has made a announcement about a new addition to their leadership team that we'll tell you about. Also, some awards to be handed out for Oregon football. And I know it's a little weird when we're still getting awards season, but we're not maybe going to see the fruits of that labor of the rewards awards, I should say, and maybe the rewards until spring. But they're on the watch list nonetheless, and we're going to talk a little bit about that with some big-time Ducks. And take some of your Facebook comments and questions, YouTube comments and questions. We got a lot to unpack today with Lisa Peterson. Did anything else happen? What did I miss, Scott? Anything? I think we hit it all. D1 Council made a big recommendation yesterday. We're going to talk about that, what it means. And yeah, I think I covered it. That's what they call the tease at the top of the show. Now we turn our attention to the actual star of the show, which is Lisa Peterson. Lisa Peterson is here. She's with us, of course, virtually. So, Lisa, first of all, let's just start with that's fist bump. Wait, that direction.
I don't know which way to go. Oh, there we go.
There we go. That's good. That's good. So we figured that out. You're not the first person that we've had to figure that out with, because remember, Coach Ulmer and I, Lisa, had a secret handshake. I don't know if you remember this.
Oh.
So we had to try to do it virtually, and it just did not work. So there's time. We're going to see what we can do and figure that out moving forward. First of all, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us, even though you're kind of here and kind of not here. How's this been since we last talked? It's been like seemingly forever since we last talked to you. I think the last time you were on the show was in January, which is odd.
And I can't even blame you for skipping out, so I don't even know how to handle all of this.
See? Now, the running joke, for those of you that are not familiar, is that somehow, and I swear it was an accident, somehow every time I would schedule Lisa in the rotation of athletic directors' interviews, I would be gone. And it
somehow, Joey, somehow. Somehow.
I really thought
this one's not your fault.
I thought that after 8 months she would have forgotten about this, but she hasn't.
Come on, you know me better than that.
I know. That's okay. Good to know.
No, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, I'm sure that, all the different things that you have gone through. I'll tell you that at the beginning it was, shock, and you just had to move quickly and, try to figure out how to go remote and get everybody out and, do all that stuff. And then there was like a week of, what am I going to do for during this time? And maybe that was where the mistake was made, was to ask, what am I going to do? Because I can guarantee that I've worked harder during this span than ever. And that's building a stadium, that's going through, all the different searches. It's all of those things. And, the good thing is that it really makes you appreciate things in a different way. So, I can definitely say that piece. But a lot of the work that I've been doing has been in conjunction with Dr. Davidson, Kim Terrell, and Mike Duncan. in, return to practice / competition protocols and procedures. We started on that, I want to say April was when we first started talking about all that kind of stuff. And so that's really been my focus. And then, we went from having, 5 or 6 Pac-12 meetings a year to
5 or 6 a week.
But yeah, exactly. We have standing meetings now that are every week, and I can tell you this: we're on an hour and a half call, sometimes 2.5 hours, and we've yet to get through an agenda. So it just is. It's a lot of different things that we're focusing on because you do all these things to get a schedule, and then all of that changes. So it's really just being flexible, adjusting, going with the moment, trying to support everybody the best way that we can, understanding that there's no guidebook for this. When I got into college athletics, I can't follow what the person before me did because it doesn't exist. So it's just been an adjustment period.
Lisa Peterson joining us. A lot to get to. I want to talk about some good news because she's now a member of the women's basketball selection committee, and she's officially checked that off of her list. I have a joke to make about that later, but in all seriousness, congratulations. We're going to talk about that. So we do have some good things to talk about as well. WNBA stars. But I do want to unpack a little bit just what life has been like. So, Lisa, you've worked so hard to have these procedures to bring people back safely, and then you get the announcement last week. And I know that was tough for everybody to stomach. And you mentioned just how fast the news has been moving. Just your reaction, Lisa. And my heart goes out to the coaches, the student athletes, and everybody just with the announcement last week. Had to be a tough one. Had to be one of the darker days of your career. I know that it was of mine.
Oh, absolutely. And I was telling people, student athletes specifically, that it's different than even the spring. Because the spring, it just happened, or, women's basketball, it just happened, and you just had to react. And in this one, we've been planning and putting all these things in place, in the hopes of making it happen, and then it doesn't. Mm-hmm. What I will say, though, is, with every conversation that we've had, we've always known that the decision was going to be made based on, medical guidance and based on facts and not on emotion, or anything financial. Like, it really was going to be based on all that. So whatever the outside noise is, all of that still holds true. And when you're in these meetings and you're hearing from the medical professionals and the concerns about the point of care testing and the heart issues that student athletes can have, and then just where the virus is right now in all of our communities and where we thought it was going to be, as tough as the decision was, it also makes perfect sense, because on the other side of that is the conversation that you're having with student athletes. Well, what about when we travel, or what if we can't get through a season, or how are we going to do it if I get sick, and then my roommates and my teammates. And so I think there was a relief, for some, because of just the challenges and what all of that was going to look like. But anytime, just like in anything, when the decision's actually made, there's that loss. And it's especially true for the coaches as well. Because again, they've been gearing up, they've been planning, they've been going through all of this for the fans. We've, the schedule comes out and all of those different things that we've been talking about, and then this happens. And I just hope that people really understand and appreciate the fact that the health and safety of our student athletes has always been the guiding principle. And given everything that we know with where we are, we made the best decision for their health and safety.
I think that's really interesting what you mentioned, which is sort of having clarity and relief, Lisa, because I know President Schill, who's in charge, is the chairman of the Pac-12 CEO group. That was something that he talked about when he spoke to the media, that, there's just so many uncertainties and there's so much noise. You touched on that a little bit. Has that sort of been the response from student athletes and coaches that you've heard, is that yeah, this sucks, but it's nice to kind of know the direction the next few months?
The ones that I have talked to, yes, because we kept, for lack of a better term, kicking the can down the road as far as, not making a decision. But I also know that they were trying to wait as long as possible. And the deciding factor, was that August 15th was supposed to be full on contact practice for soccers and volleyballs. And then football was supposed to move to that on the 17th. So that was kind of like the decision point where they had to decide by then based on what information that we had at the time as to what we were going to do. So that's kind of what pushed it when it happened. But yeah, it really is just now knowing, okay, this is what it's going to be. We know nothing before January 1st. At least we can now adjust to that instead of what if, kind of like what's happening in a lot of different areas. So, yes, again, I don't know that 100% everybody agrees. That's not going to be on any decision, but,
right.
There are definitely some that are taking advantage of this time because like a soccer and a volleyball, they've never had a volunteer season, right? They've never had the ability to just go in there and do things because it's so regulated. Football has had that in the past, but not those sports. So for those student athletes that want to be here, they have the ability to work out with their coaches, you know, on a limited basis, obviously, and very restricted as far as the things that they can do, you know, maintaining the 6 feet and wearing the face coverings. But I do think it's been a really good thing for them.
Can you expand on that a little bit, Lisa, just to give people an idea behind the curtain of now what things look like and how it is a little bit different than a traditional season for obvious reasons?
Right. Well, so the CEO decision said no contact was what they had put into place. So, and it's really hard in every single sport to define what that looks like.
Yeah.
The guidance that we have used, and a huge shout out to the Pac-12 Medical Advisory Group, which started years ago. They were at the beginning dealing with like a lot of concussion information and that sort of stuff. But then when all of this happened, that group expanded, you know, tenfold, and it's got infectious disease specialists, it's got cardiologists. They've reached out to a bunch of different, you know, well-known cardiologists in the country to go through all that stuff. But so the guidance that we are working off of is the no contact, and we're defining that as maintaining 6 feet. So it's one thing if you run past somebody in a really quick thing, but the drills, like you can't play defense on somebody. So if soccer's out there shooting goals, they can't have a defender within 6 feet of them. You know, volleyball, they can't go up against somebody at the net, that sort of stuff. You just have to really do drills. And the way I look at it is no scrimmages. That's the best way to define kind of what they're doing is no scrimmages. And the biggest adjustment, because all of them have to wear the face coverings. The only time that you don't is if you are, in all essence, doing the conditioning piece outside. If you're doing conditioning inside, you have to wear the face covering.
Right.
And so, you know, it's an adjustment on that. But what I have heard is if you can get through the first week of understanding that breathing, it really has been helpful. And just, you know, the amount of, you know, the virus spread that it can stop, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's great. Thank you for elaborating, because I think it's important for fans to know. Like we were talking with Graham Abel on Monday, and he said, hey, you know, they're still working on stuff. You want to talk to any student athletes on the show, and we're going to do this. You know, do it. You know, what are they working on? So that's something that we're going to do on Duck Insider moving forward. Okay. Lisa Peterson is our guest, Deputy Athletic Director. Thanks for taking the time again, Lisa. One of the things that I'm curious about, and I'll break it down, kind of getting into the weeds a little bit here, but the NCAA has made the recommendation about eligibility. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about that, just to kind of give fans the overview, if you could, of what this means and sort of unpack what eligibility is going to be like now for, similar to spring, but now for fall athletes as well.
Okay. So from what I understand, the recommendation that's going to the board of governors on Friday is, irregardless of the number of contests that a student athlete were to compete in, that they would get another year of eligibility. So if, you know, we play 10 games and they play in those 10 games, then they still get another year. Where the you know, devil's always in the details, right? What that means. And my understanding is the recommendation is very similar to the spring, where if you are a senior and this would be your last year of competition, then if we were to choose to fund your scholarship, you know, in the 21-22 season, that we would be allowed to be over the scholarship limit by that amount. Now, the challenge becomes, as you know, we've talked about, is if we're funding, I mean, fall sports, we have 150, 175 student athletes,
right? You
know, and most of them are head count sports, which means they're full scholarships. You know, that would be challenging to try to manage that number. Now, obviously not all of them are seniors. You know, I don't know the exact number of seniors, but that's something that we would have to decide. But that's where the NCAA is definitely giving you that flexibility.
I think that's important, right? I mean, you got to have that flexibility in an unprecedented time like this, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's some concern with some of our coaches, though, with the currently with the conferences that say that they are playing.
Right.
If they actually do get to play, then that means that they could play the fall. They could play whatever shortened spring term it is, and then they could also come back. And so there's some concern about all of that, if that's really how it all works out. But I think that there's probably differing opinions on if those schools are going to end up playing in the fall.
Yeah, I think that's we've all seen how fast this thing changes. I'm not every day. Scott and I have talked about this. We kind of joked, Lisa, that normally on Duck Insider, we at least like a month out, we kind of know what we're going to be doing and talking about. We've done this long enough. We kind of just know the cycle. Now it's you wake up and it's okay. We got a fresh slate, blank slate for today of what's happening, and it's. I don't know.
You've just described my last 6 months, Joey.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, yeah, so I hope that fans are still tuning in and getting something out of it while we try to figure it out every day. But anyway, we digress. Lisa, I want to get a quick timeout. When we come back, just a lot of things to unpack here, and this is great information, so I thank you for taking the time. And I do want to talk a little bit about some good things like the WNBA Stars, even though we're not going to get our actual matchup of products tonight that we thought we would. We'll talk about all that. Lisa Peterson, Deputy Athletic Director, is our guest. Oh, man, we've got more still to come, if you can believe that. Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union, back inside the Country Financial Studio next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield IMG College.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Hundo P. Hundo P. Adjective. Short for being 100% sure or certain. As in, if we get a puppy, I'll Hundo P always walk it.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union, inside the Country Financial Studio. Joey Mack here with you. It is Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks, drink Pepsi. Lisa Peterson's here, kind of. I feel like I gotta get used to saying she's virtually here. It's
right.
Just it doesn't have the same ring.
How
to
about
it.
just saying she's on the show?
She's on the show. Lisa Peterson's on the show. I like that. She's on the show. So we've been talking a little bit about just returning to competition. I know, Lisa, you were heavily involved in that. All the arrows that are actually on the ground inside the Casanova Center. You're welcome. That was you, right? I mean, that had to be completely you that put all those down.
I didn't put all of those down, but I definitely helped direct them.
Yeah, it's
because Mike Duncan will tell you that I'm a bad arrow maker. You can ask him that.
Is that like how I can't draw a smiley face? Is it similar?
I didn't know that was a skill you didn't have.
Oh, yeah. My handwriting is worse than a doctor.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid like one. That's terrible.
Exactly. Exactly. No, my wife can't read my handwriting. I can't even read my own handwriting sometimes.
Oh.
So it's
goodness.
bad. So
okay.
If you're
well,
a bad
then no,
maker,
it's not that bad, I don't think. But yeah, he said that I don't make good arrows. So
okay.
I helped decide where they should go, but no, he wouldn't let me put them all down.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we've been talking about some of the unfortunate things that we're all facing in athletics and life, and athletics is really a small part of this, but I do want to unpack a couple good things with you, if that's cool. Congratulations on being named to the Women's Basketball Selection Committee. That's a big deal. And I said that I was going to make a somewhat of a joke about this because we actually went into the archives, Lisa, and we have, I won't play it for you, but we have a record of you saying that the next thing on my list is to be on the Women's Basketball Selection Committee. So clearly this is like a check off the list for you, right? This is pretty cool.
No, it's a really big opportunity. And the way that it happened so quickly was because Seal Berry, the SWA at Colorado, longtime women's basketball coach, she's probably in every Hall of Fame that she can be in. She took the smart route and she retired, when all this hit. So she had 2 years left on her commitment because the women's basketball committee is 5 years versus 4 years. And so the Pac-12 put me forth as the recommendation to fill her spot. What I've been told though, is that at the end of those 2 years, I will have the ability to re-up and try to get the additional 3 to have the full 5. So it happened sooner than I expected because I knew that Seal was on there, but no, I'm really excited about it. I like, having a voice in the room and being able to understand why things are done, because I think it helps. I get to do shows like this and explain the process and why things are the way that they are and all that stuff. So, one of the really big reasons, but, certainly a sport that I have a great deal of passion for. I like watching it. And so, really hope that I can contribute. It's a great group of people. I had my orientation meeting. And what I've learned is a lot of our stuff that's normally in person right now is going to be virtual, but we're all adjusting to that. So I'm really excited about that, but thank you.
So it's awesome. And selfishly, I'm glad because now we have somebody who knows the full process, just like when we used to talk to Lisa about the volleyball selection, which brings me to, this is your third selection committee, right?
It is. You did go back in the archives.
How many other people around have been on 3 different sports selection committees, Lisa? I got to imagine that you're in a unique group here.
Oh, I doubt that. I mean, I might be in a unique group in Oregon, but no, there's definitely some of my counterparts. Like, I think of, she's now the AD at Idaho. Terry Gullick, I think, has been on multiple, and Diane Turnham in the industry. Like, there's definitely several. But I'm going to go on record right now and say there's one more I want.
Okay. See, so we can get to 4.
Softball.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, that is the logical next progression as you've done, at least at Oregon, since you've been at Oregon. You did fall with volleyball. Now you're moving to winter with women's basketball, so spring will be softball. And then you can make the full circle. Can you go back to the track committee? That was the other one, right?
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so just know this. When I was on track, it's way different than it is now. It was all 3 championships. So cross country, indoor, outdoor. It was cross country regionals. It was outdoor regionals. And it was the rules.
Oh, wow.
So that was the longest committee I've ever been on. And I only served 2 years on that, and it felt like 10. They've split it up now, though, where it's not that same way. Rules is completely separate, and you're only on 2 of the 3.
So it occurs to me that since that committee has changed, that you should probably...
I should go back on.
You should get it... Yeah, I think after softball, you just make the full circle, and then we can say that you've been on 5.
There we go. Well, there's others that are out there. Those are just the ones,
But those are the ones that you are the most interested in right now. So I think we just lobby for that, and I'll do my part. I can lobby and say, hey, this is great. So, well, congratulations though. That's awesome. I know that it was on your list, so we can officially check it off. So can you elaborate a little more on what exactly you do when you're on a selection committee? Like, because we've been fortunate here at Oregon to have people like Lisa, people like Eric Rodell, who's been on the tennis committee, Rob Mullins, of course, with the college football playoff. I mean, we've had some people at Oregon that are really big decision makers on how this all works. And so I'm always curious to kind of pull back the curtain. So if you could, what does a selection committee for women's basketball entail besides just watching a lot of women's basketball?
So their primary focus is the championship. So it's everything related to that. It's the site selection, it's the game management, it's that whole entire process. And so I'm assuming this year is going to look a little bit different than it has in the past, just, decisions that are already being made and things that are happening around the world. But no, your primary focus is the championship. So there's a lot of communication. Based on my orientation, what I've learned is, I'll get assigned 3 conferences that I'm the primary liaison, I guess, with, and then I get another 4 that I'm the secondary. And so you're responsible for the communication with that conference office of the 3 that you're the primary for. And then similar to volleyball, where we have the regional advisory committee calls with coaches from the different conferences, that mine will be the West Coast, just like it was with volleyball. So we'll do that as well. But it's a lot of watching women's basketball, a lot of communication, just staying on top of all of it. And then this year, women's basketball is moving to the net as well. So it'll be learning a whole new system, which is exciting for me. Because I don't know much about that. I never obviously paid attention to it before. So, but it's 100%. The primary responsibility is the championship, and we report to the women's basketball oversight committee.
All right. See, this is why I like having Lisa on, because you actually learn things. I mean, and good luck. Good luck. I know that's it can be tough. I mean, you guys are asked to make some pretty big time decisions that a lot of people criticize. So good luck.
Well, I mean, just like we talked about, you're not going to make everybody happy, right? So there will definitely be the criticisms, I know.
No doubt about that. Lisa Peterson joining us for a little bit more of our Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Lisa, I got to ask you a little bit about our WNBA stars. 2 of them are a little banged up right now, but just how much pride do you have for that? Especially, Lisa, I mean, they got their season just ripped away from them, which it sucked. But it's cool to see them starring in the WNBA.
So a couple things with that. I think for the first probably 2 months after all that happened, everyone that I talked to, every one of them, whether they were in Oregon, whether they were my friends back east, whether it was my family members, that I don't talk to very often, whatever it was, every one of them said that they were heartbroken for our women's basketball team, that they didn't get the opportunity to see how it all turned out. And that's a loss that we'll never get back. What I will say is that I hope that we all appreciated it and enjoyed it while we had it. And I am happy that the very last game that they played, they won, and they cut down nets and they hoisted a trophy. And so I know it wasn't the one that we thought, but there is, a little bit of solace in the fact that that's how it ended, at least with that piece. But to talk about pride, I will tell you that I was at my sister's in Nebraska during the draft, and we all sat down and watched it. I'm pretty sure most of my family had never watched the WNBA before or knew what it was, but they all certainly knew who those folks were. And so we had, we did all of that, immediately ordered the T-shirts of everyody.
You actually got one? They sold out so fast.
I got 3 in my closet. So, yep, I've got them all. And then my nieces, they really wanted the Sabrina New York Liberty jersey. So it's still on back order, or, because they sold them before they were even produced, which my friend at Nike told me that was going to be the case, but mine's going to be coming as soon as they can. Pride is an understatement. Just, I'm glad that they're getting the experience that they are right now, even though it wasn't what any of them thought it would be. But the fact that they get to go play the games, devastated when Sabrina got injured. Same with Satu. I text with Ruthie every now and then. She loves her team. And when she's getting her opportunity, she's showing the kind of player that she is. Satu being on billboards in Dallas and in Berlin. I mean, and Sabrina, do you remember? Okay, you found the clip of me saying I wanted to be on the women's basketball committee. Can you find the clip of me telling you that it's just Sabrina? It's just one word, like Madonna.
Right. I do remember you saying that.
Yeah. And now, like, when you say Sabrina, that's exactly, you don't have to say anymore, because that's what it is. And just the pride that all of us have in them. And I think the best part is just that they're really good humans.
Yeah.
I mean, that transcends anything that they could do or have ever done on the court. But just seeing the success that they're going to have, the fun that they're having right now. And I couldn't be more proud.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, it's just been so cool to watch. Ruthie's in action tonight, by the way, so you can tune in to the WNBA and Chicago. It's really pretty amazing. It's been fun to keep track of. I'm glad that they've gotten this opportunity, and they're taking full advantage of it, as they should. It also helps that a name like Sabrina is just kind of attention-grabbing, like Madonna. Like if Sabrina's name was what's like the most common girl's name ever, like maybe it doesn't.
Susan, Jenny.
Yeah, it probably doesn't have quite the same knack to it. So to the Ionescu's, good name choice. Well done.
Right? Agreed.
All right. So
tonight. So it was supposed to be. I saw him. I don't want to give him credit for anything, but I saw Rob Mosley, put on his Twitter that tonight was supposed to be peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
Remember from the Pac-12 thing, and it is sad. I wonder which one was which. Did they say?
I think Sabrina was peanut butter. That's what she said on the last coach's show.
At least we still have jelly. So,
yeah, we still got jelly. You can still make a really good piece of toast with just jelly, I guess. So, Lisa, I know we're up against it. I only told you I'd keep you for half an hour, but I do just want to say we need to get you some duck gear for your home office.
Listen, Joey, this is intentional because then no one can look at anything and start picking apart what's in the background, or I've got something up and I don't have another thing like this. This is exactly what I actually moved upstairs into a spare bedroom from where I was when this whole thing started for that very reason. Because then no one's going, oh, what is that you have over there? Oh, what's that? So this is intentional.
And then meanwhile, for us, it's just littered with all of the different duck stuff that I've collected over the years. We took the opposite approach of look at everything else. Don't look at the face for radio. That was our approach.
Well, this was also on Zoom calls, not on radios, so this is transition. I wasn't thinking of my radio career when I did that.
I know. We all have faces for Facebook and YouTube now. It's really too bad for everybody involved. Oh, man, it's Athletic Director Thursday. Brought to you by Pepsi, locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi. Lisa, thanks for the time. I very much appreciate it. We'll do it again. We're going to – obviously, Duck Insider is going to look a little different. We don't have a lot of news of the day, so I think we're going to get in-depth on a lot of different people around the athletic department is our plan moving forward, and Lisa's one of them. So, Lisa, thanks for the time.
Love it.
If you have any ideas of folks that you think deserve a story here on the show, let us know. We're all ears. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for all that you do, Joe. It's good to see you.
Lisa Peterson.
And hi, Scott.
Scott's over here somewhere. Exactly, by the way, Lisa, for your work from home and return to work, he's 12 and a half feet away from me. We measured.
And he's got a face covering on, doesn't he?
He did. Well, he did, yes.
Yep. Tell me you do, Scott. Tell me you do. All right. You guys be good.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to get a quick timeout. When we come back, unpacking that NCAA announcement, so stick with us. There's a lot to get through there, and I do want to do that because it's important for a lot of these student athletes. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union, live from the Country Financial Studio. More coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar presents an original that's now maybe even better. Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a delicious Mountain Dew Zero Sugar with the same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. And all the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't get Humpty to try a different zero sugar soda again.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. As good as the original, maybe even better.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. I want to be a warm place on a cold day. Football I want to be a bike that races around the country. I want to be a bench on a forest trail. When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio, updating you on some other news of the day, if you will. My thanks again to Lisa Peterson for joining us on Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. We were talking with Lisa a little bit about what the Division I Council has recommended. So just to unpack that, she explained it really well. But a couple takeaways, I think, that are important for student athletes. So the Division I Board of Directors is going to consider a move and for student athlete protections. And let me just give you some of the details here. So the Division I Council is recommending to the Division I Board of Directors that they pursue moving all divisions' fall championships to the spring because more than 50% of schools participating in each of the NCAA fall championships have either canceled or postponed their own seasons. And yeah, that was something that a few weeks ago was discussed, right? That if it's up to 50% of all of the teams that participate in that sport, then the championship would either be canceled or postponed. So that makes sense. It's the right decision. One other thing that the Division I Council is recommending, and the full approval for all this will take place on Friday, and we'll talk to you a little bit about it. Members also recommended the board give all fall sports student athletes both an additional year of eligibility and an additional year in which to complete it. A recommendation that is even more flexible than what was actually previously endorsed. So essentially what that means is if you participate in a sport or if you don't participate in a sport this year, it doesn't matter. This year's crazy. It's wild. They're going to extend the eligibility clock and give you another year of eligibility for the student athletes. Makes sense. I don't really think that there's another way to do it at this point. That's just my opinion. There's just so much uncertainty out there that I think it just makes sense to do it that way. Take care of the student athletes that have just been so negatively affected by this, and it just stinks. It just really, really stinks. So there's a few other things the D1 Council and the D1 Board of Governors are considering. One is they discussed playing and practice season issues that resulted from seasons being canceled or postponed. And the D1 Council has agreed that the current legislation provides flexibility for members to apply the rules that work best for their student athletes. So what that means is everything that we've been discussing of how do you get back to competition, what practice schedules are going to look like, as Lisa outlined a little bit, those are all being discussed and now approved. So, for example, cross country, volleyball, soccer, football, all the fall sports at Oregon, obviously with no competition, things are going to look a little bit different in how you can practice and participate and still work out. And essentially, they're providing more flexibility for those student athletes to be able to still develop their skills and participate in team activities and workouts without there being a traditional season. Again, I think it just makes sense. None of this is groundbreaking. None of it's like, whoa, that really raises your eyebrows. It just sort of is the kind of stuff that you go, yep, that makes a lot of sense. See a question from Dev. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Also going to jump into some news out of the Pac-12 and some awards for Oregon football players. Shadow Hills Country Club, your family resort, just minutes from home. Call for a tour today. Today's show brought to you by Shadow Hills Country Club. When we come back, that Pac-12 announcement and also the Pro Football Focus Top 50 has been released, and the Ducks account for quite a few members of that top 50 list. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union, live from the Country Financial Studio. Stick with us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Welcome to the Slocum Center Minute. Slocum Center physicians are located here in Eugene and are the official orthopedic team physicians for your beloved Oregon Ducks. With me today, I have Dr. Brian Jewett, who specializes in joint replacement of the hip and knee at Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Dr. Jewett, advancements in orthopedic surgery continue for both athletes and non-athletes. Can you share some recent advancements for hip and knee replacement?
Well, Jerry, that's a great question. When you look over the past decade in hip and knee replacement surgery, our implants have certainly come a long way. They're stronger, they're more durable, and they're tougher right out of the box. When you combine that with less traumatic surgery, like the direct anterior approach in hip surgery, with our better pain management techniques that we've developed over the last few years, our patients are moving sooner after surgery. They're recovering faster with less pain than ever before. So with stronger implants, better surgery, and improved pain management techniques, it's been possible now for patients to go home sooner after surgery. They're walking sooner, and they're able to leave the hospital sooner. And this trend has really led to the development of outpatient total joint surgery centers across America.
I'm hearing about same-day joint replacement surgery, and really, that is mystifying. Dr. Jewett, talk about that.
Well, what's interesting is that most patients who need a hip and knee replacement surgery are actually not sick. They're actually healthy and active, but they have a limiting lifestyle problem with their joint. So a lot of our patients do not need a hospital, and that's why outpatient joint surgery centers have been growing in the last 3 to 4 years across our country. Here at Slocum, our Renew Joint Replacement Center was developed to provide our patients with a very personal surgical experience in a single specialty orthopedic center that is focused on the best possible outcomes for our hip and knee replacement patients. We have a team of specialized surgeons, specialized anesthesiologists, and nurses who are absolutely dedicated to providing the highest quality joint replacement patient care in a very personal environment. And using the techniques we just talked about, getting our patients up, moving sooner, they're able to go home the same day or the day after their hip or knee replacement surgery here at Renew at Slocum. And I encourage all your listeners, if they want to learn more about our Renew program here at Slocum, to log on to our website, slocumcenter.com, and explore our information available.
It's obviously a profession, but for you, and I can tell for a lot of doctors, it's more than just a job. It's something, call it a labor of love, helping people, huh?
Absolutely. We just strive to continue to improve what we do to bring to bear the greatest and latest technology for our patients.
Thank you for what you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This was the Slocum Center Minute, brought to you by Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, the official orthopedic sports medicine team physicians for University of Oregon Athletics since 1967.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Welcome back for another episode of ASMR with Alex. Today, we're exploring the delicious, refreshing sounds of Pepsi. Oh, spilled a little there, but don't worry, it's all under control. Now for the best part. Pepsi. That's what I like. Nailed it. My subscriber is gonna love this one.
Locally owned Bigfoot Beverages is proud to support the Oregon Ducks. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi.
This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. And today's show brought to you by North Fork Public House, located in Crescent Village here in Eugene. Open for dine-in and takeout, northforkeugene.com. You know, I talked to Georgie today. He offered my dinner finally.
He offered or you asked?
No, he offered. It was completely Georgie saying, hey, when can I finally do this? But remember, we discussed, like, it's supposed to be that we're all sitting at a table together, and then they give it to me, right? Like, that's supposed to be how it works, and we can't do that right now. So
at least he offered.
I know, but I'm inclined to wait. I'm inclined to make him wait. Like, I don't want to just have him send delivery to my house.
No, he has to sit there and watch you eat.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Thank you, Scott. I'm glad that you agree. So the Pac-12 has made an addition to their leadership team today, appointing an experienced NFL and college football executive in Merton Hanks as the head of football operations. So that means he's in charge of all football initiatives and programs, scheduling, officiating, replay command, operations, the Pac-12 championship game, and all those bowl relationships. Essentially anything that has to do with Pac-12 football, it's going to now be run by Merton Hanks. And Larry Scott said, quote, "I'm very pleased to welcome Merton Hanks to the Pac-12 to lead and drive the continued success of our Pac-12 football operations." And Hanks himself said, quote, "I am excited to be joining the Conference of Champions and to have the opportunity to contribute to the continued growth of the Pac-12's football programs. Pac-12 boasts world-class universities and an incredible football history, and I look forward to working with the Pac-12 athletic directors, administrators, and Commissioner Scott's great team to support our student-athletes' success on and off the field." Merton Hanks joining the Pac-12. I think that if you had to pick a year to have your first year on a job, this would be a rough one. Merton Hanks, along with everybody else, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think that as we move forward, though, with all this, and if we're able to talk about an announcement like that and then see the operation of football happen in the spring, I'm all for it. Whatever it takes to get there, I'm all about it. Speaking of football, the top 50 has been released for the Pro Football Focus best players in college football. For those of you that aren't familiar with Pro Football Focus, just a quick background. Essentially, Pro Football Focus has their own internal grading system. So it's not just your traditional football statistics. They have their own grading system that they do. And the Ducks with 5 strong on the list. That's pretty good. 5 players in the best in college football. 5 of the best players in college football are at Oregon, according to Pro Football Focus. Number 50 is Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau, the FBS leader, with 7 sacks in the fourth quarter last season, and he did that as a freshman. So he's number 50 on the list. Number 48, Thomas Graham. Thomas Graham Jr., the FBS active leader, with 32 pass breakups and 39 consecutive starts at corner. Thomas Graham Jr., that's pretty good as the active leader with 32 pass breakups, right? Number 31, a freshman last year in Mikael Wright. First Pac-12 player with 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown since 2016, and he had a top 25 graded he was a top 25 graded corner, I should say, nationally by Pro Football Focus, and that was as a true freshman with Mikael Wright. Number 12, this probably won't surprise you, Javon Holland. Hollywood Vaughn, of course. Javon, the first player to lead Oregon in interceptions in back-to-back seasons since 3-time Pro Bowl selection Jarris Byrd.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty elite company. Yeah. Holland, Byrd. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Number 3, I disagree with the ranking here. Yeah, I completely disagree with the ranking of Penei Sewell. The reigning Outland Trophy winner and the highest graded offensive lineman in Pro Football Focus college history is number 3 in the best players in college football. I loved the list until Penei Sewell wasn't number 1.
Yeah.
But still, Penei Sewell, yeah, he's pretty good. And yes, the Pro Football Focus era and grading college players isn't all that old. I get it. But still, the highest graded offensive lineman in Pro Football Focus college history, Penei Sewell. It's a little bit odd with the award season. I acknowledge that. We're still seeing these awards come in, and it is weird because we're going to have to wait to see these guys in action for at least another few months. Speaking of that, the Senior Bowl Top 250 was released, and I want to make a point here because the Top 250 in the Senior Bowl, it makes sense that it wasn't all that long ago that Thomas Graham Jr., Diamador Lenore, Austin Falliou, and Jordan Scott were sitting in the media interview room at the Hatfield Dowling Complex saying they were coming back for another year. And also on that list is Anthony Brown as well, the graduate transfer quarterback for the Ducks. But it doesn't just make sense that those 4 guys then are the top 250 seniors in college football. Yeah.
That's good.
That's pretty good stuff. That's pretty good stuff. It is a little bit weird. I totally get it. I think it's a little odd. We're still sitting here and talking about the announcements, but I'll tell you what I love about the Pro Football Focus rankings yesterday and then also the announcement with the Senior Bowl today is there's still a lot of love out there for Oregon football. There's an awful lot of love out there for Oregon football. I'm all about that because the more and more we talk about the Ducks and just everything that they've got going for them, the more and more I just keep realizing, like, man, It's been a pretty good run here. I also saw a comment today on our Facebook stream. I've been doing my best to keep track of them, and I want to answer Devs here in just a moment. Muriel says, this fall, rebroadcast last year's games for us to enjoy again. I'm in. Why not?
A lot of good games.
Great year. Great year. Jerry and Jorgie give some thoughts as we go through it. I think it'd be great. And, look, okay, let's ask. What do you all want to hear on Saturdays? All right, we got the Oregon Sports Network. We've still got Duck Insider going. We're trudging along. We're working on another show that'll kind of be a replacement for our coaches show that I think you're all really going to enjoy. What do you guys want to hear on Saturdays from the Ducks? I'll throw it out there. Maybe we ask that question tomorrow too. Maybe we end up on a Friday. And if everybody wants to hear that again last year and just how great it was, I am in. In fact, Jerry and Jorgie, I think, could give you some great perspective on everything that happened throughout those games. Because, look, I'll be honest, there's stuff that we miss in a broadcast, and then we don't realize it till we go back and I think Jerry and Jorgie both do this as well. I go back and watch the game. Like, I watch the TV broadcast on Sunday mornings. That's kind of my usual Sunday thing. Like, I get up and I'm usually moving very slowly and watch the game again. And I take notes, get ready to do the show on Monday, and then just like that, we're doing the show on Monday. I like that idea. Any other thoughts? What do you guys want to hear on Saturdays? Let me know. Send me an email. You can find my email on goducks.com. Let us know in the comment section. I'll keep track. I'm on Twitter at JoeyMacUO. What do fans want to hear? What do you guys want to hear? Jerry and Jorgie could talk for hours. I'll just tell you that. I'd listen to that. Don't tell them I said that.
Jerry, but I don't know about Jerry.
Don't tell them I said that. But no, in all seriousness though, fans, what do you guys want to hear? I think we're game. We're ready to go. Because I'm going to need something to talk about. Scott and I are both. We're going to need something. One thing that I have thought is really cool, too, and I don't know if you've seen this, and maybe some of you have on social media, Oregon Soccer's been doing an alumni spotlight. I got a real kick out of that because it's just a quick hitter on what they've been up to. But Mercedes Walters was featured today. She was at Oregon from 07 to 11. I think it's cool because they talk about their favorite Oregon soccer memories. So follow at Oregon Soccer on Twitter. They've done a cool job connecting to the alums, and I think it's been pretty cool to see that. We're up against it a little bit. I want to get time out. When we come back, I'll catch up on some final comments and questions. Dev, I promise I won't forget you. Dev, I'm going to answer that question about Justin Herbert when we come back. Duck Insider, right here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. Thanks for joining us. Jackson's Food Store is a proud sponsor of the University of Oregon Ducks. Stop by Jackson's and go Ducks. So Dev was asking this a minute ago, and I think it's going to be fun to talk about it. And also on Hard Knocks, you're going to see Justin Herbert, which is cool, on HBO. How do you think Justin Herbert will do as a starter in the NFL? I think Justin Herbert's going to be great in the NFL because Herbert's got the arm, he's got the body, and clearly the Chargers love him. You just tell based on what all of their general manager, their coaches have said about him. I think you love him. And here's the other thing. I don't know that Justin Herbert has to be a starter right away. That's the nice thing with having Tyrod Taylor on that roster, right? And look, I'm a huge believer in the Aaron Rodgers effect. And what I mean by that is, and maybe you don't have to have a guy sit for like 4 or 5 years like Aaron Rodgers did, but you don't think Aaron Rodgers benefited from sitting and learning and not just being thrown to the wolves behind a terrible offensive line? Not that the Chargers have a terrible offensive line, but you get my point. Sometimes it's nice to be able to grow into it a little bit in the NFL. I don't think that you have to be an instant starter at quarterback. And I understand you pay a lot of money to those guys. You want them to play right away. But in terms of a long-term investment and development, I'm actually a huge believer in having a guy sit for a while. Again, maybe not as many years as Aaron Rodgers did. Big believer, though, in having a guy sit. And maybe that benefits Justin Herbert. I'll tell you one thing, though. Herb is a smart guy. He will have that offense down, and he will know everything that there is to know about running that team. He's just an intelligent young man, and I think that he's going to do well. And, you know, he's so easy to root for, isn't he? Especially for those of us around Eugene, right? I mean, he's an Oregonian, grew up in the shadow of Autzen Stadium. Now he's realizing an NFL dream after he didn't have all that many scholarship offers. Oregon was one of just a couple. It's pretty cool. It's really a pretty great story. So I'm rooting for him, and I hope that he shines this season, but I hope that he shines at the appropriate time and doesn't get thrown to the wolves completely. Hey, my thanks again to Lisa Peterson for joining us for Athletic Director Thursday, brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks, drink Pepsi. I'm Joey Mack. We'll see you tomorrow. Jordan Kent's going to join the show.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.